Good evening, everyone. Fellow Madridistas, this is me, Aalap and Pinakin on the other side. We are just two average guys who happen to be doctors and passionate Madridistas. And just this is our foray into podcasting, which is just like, just two guys talking sports when they get together. We want to keep it informal. We just want to don't clutter you with stats and everything. Just our basic view on the game we love and the club we love.
Hi guys, this is Pinakin and we'll just be discussing about Madrid. We'll be discussing about the latest transfer rumors, what are the new updates and what is going on in Madrid and especially the post-match analysis. But we'll try to keep it as informal and as intrusive as we could.
Yep. All right.
So now we'll be starting with today's podcast and hope you show us some love.
Yeah.
And please do subscribe.
Yes, please do. And so, all right. So take it away. The first thing is transfers. So let's first say that, what are the priorities of the club and what do you think the club should, offload and who should we bring in? We have already done some business. So we'll discuss the players we have already brought in. So let's start with this, that, 14th time US UCL champions and a comprehensive margin in the league to win it as well. So Pinakin, what do you think were the priorities of Madrid coming into the summer transfer window?
I think our priorities were straight and we have done a decent job as of now. We needed a centre back and we have brought in the best centre back, I guess that was possible in the market, Antonio Rudiger. And we also needed a backup for Casemiro. We have gone with Tchouaméni. And if you compare their stats, actually, they've actually done similar to what our centre backs have done and our CDM has done. You look at Tchouaméni and Casemiro, their stats are almost the same. I know they are in a different league and it's pretty different in French league in La Liga. La Liga as a midfielder, it's much more challenging because all the press and all with all the press, But let's see how it pans out. We can't predict the future, but as of now, the signs look promising. And there is one complaint that Casemiro is a bit, susceptible to the press. But I do feel that Casemiro's job, I don't think anybody can do right now in the midfield. What the dirty work that Casemiro does, I don't think.
I mean, he was phenomenal in the final, man.
He always has been. I mean, you see,
he always keeps Messi in his pocket. Yeah.
What Casemiro's absence did in the first leg of semi-final.
Yeah.
It was there for everybody to see. I mean, he was not there and we considered it literally in 2 minutes.
Yep.
In the first 2 minutes. So Casemiro is important, even if he's playing bad. If he's playing bad.
Let's hope that Tchouaméni comes with the luck of Casemiro against the referees, man. He just is invisible.
Of not being sent off.
Yeah.
No, I mean, look, the start at Madrid is always challenging. You see at Camavinga, he came in, you could see that he had a disciplinary problem, like he was getting cards too often. And but he managed to reduce it by the end of the season.
Yeah.
So there was that progress. We'll see what happens with Tchouaméni. I mean, we can only predict the future, but the signs look promising. As far as Rudiger goes.
Yep. If all things pan out, barring injuries, I think for the next 10 years, our midfield is sorted.
As of now, it looks great. My only problem with Tchouaméni is what happened with Bakayoko. It came from Monaco at a young age. He wasn't able to adapt. That adaptation part is something that I'm really worried about.
Yeah.
And Madrid can be a cruel place for youngsters. We all know that. We all have seen it. What happened
you
with
got to have the right mentality for it.
Yeah.
It's a big step up, regardless of any club you have been to. It is
you step up or you are out of the team.
Yep.
It's as simple as that in Madrid.
Yeah. So one of the things, yes, I agree. We needed to get a sort of a replacement or a long-term replacement for Casemiro, so to speak, and someone to take the load of him. But I think the other important priority for Madrid should be right back. Though we are not linked to any proper right back. Reece James was mentioned, but I don't think he's a viable option in this season at least. Odriozola is coming back from loan. He seems to have, gained some confidence, though we know how it is, right? Madrid and the last few right backs. I remember distinctly Danilo costing us the treble in Zidane's second year. In Copa del Rey, he just made a stupid error which
I was just reading
knocked us out.
the tweets yesterday. Somebody had tweeted the same thing. I mean, Danilo is somebody who is, he's literally embarked in our in Madridistas history. Because of Danilo, we missed out on a treble.
Yeah, I mean, in the recent history, that's the only time we came so close, and we were the best team in Europe that season for sure. Like against Bayern, we overcame against UA. Everybody, we blew out UA in the final. It was one of the best final performances I've seen this side put in the last few years.
Easily.
Right? Yeah. So then, like you said, that Rudiger, his ball progression and passes from the back. It's a very important part of play, and we have seen that Militao struggle with it. And it's interesting to see how the dynamic progresses from now on in the terms of the defense. Like, because Alaba is a very good ball player, but he's weak in the air. Militao is very good in the air, but he's not a good passer. So with Rudiger, I think the back line should look like Alaba as left back, Rudiger and Militao, and then Carvajal. That should be a starting defense.
You raised a good point, that aerial threat defensively and as well as offensively.
Yeah.
We have missed out on aerial threat offensively as well, and Rudiger does add that. And defensively, we saw what Chelsea did in the second leg. They were trying to put in crosses if they could not do anything. Even City, for that matter, in the second leg when they had
Militao was superb in the air. He was like amazing.
Militao was great, but the issue is
and that's the only time I think we came under pressure when in the final Liverpool brought on Firmino and he was knocking down those aerial balls into the path of Salah and Mane and everybody was running behind. So I think a second person to block the aerial threat and completely seal that part of the defense, because we see more and more players, teams are now playing with not the traditional big center forward. So it seems that we can lock down the aerial part of the game.
But they actually have signed both of the teams that you are referring to. City has signed Haaland. So they'll be a bigger threat now. And even Liverpool have signed a number 9 now. Proper number 9.
Proper number 9.
So we needed to buckle up, and I think we have done right. But you're right about the right back part. Reece James was linked, and I really like watching Reece James. I think going offensively, he's one of the best right backs that we have. But defensively, I still feel he needs to tighten up a bit. But as he comes to Madrid, I guess he'll learn.
But he's better than Trent, though. Way better than Trent.
He's better than Trent. As of now, he's better than Trent.
Yep.
But with English players, you never know. With English players, you can't actually predict the future.
I think EPL is less technical, so that's why you can get away with a few things. When teams are just in a high octane press all the time.
EPL you need the physical part.
And that's why I think EPL teams that do struggle a bit against the oppositions, they need to back with oppositions sitting back, because they are not coming out and they cannot play the balls behind. So it's it becomes a bit technical. That's why I think the record of the last 15 years, all La Liga teams have won all the finals they have been against with other teams. So that's because it's very technical. You need players with flair who can break down the teams, and in a slow scoring match it's always going to be difficult.
I mean, there is a mixture of things. Like if you go against City, I feel the issue with City is that they are press resistant. I mean, you can't press them. They have a brilliant midfield, a brilliant attack, brilliant defense when it comes down to counter pressing. But the issue is mentality.
Great.
And even in we didn't play to our strength. We actually played to our strength, I should say, but we didn't play really an attractive brand of football this season. Everybody knows it. Yes, the neutral fan might find that we were lucky occasionally. But the fact of the matter is, even in the final, if they would watch the goal again, we actually resisted Liverpool's press. We
Yeah.
drew Robertson out of position
Yep.
to create that space for Valverde to go behind.
I think we were pretty much in control, except for a few occasions, like the Mane's shot, which Courtois stayed in the first half. Apart from that, for the most part, we were in control. And the stats, they are a bit misleading, because we had a couple of chances with Casemiro and this Ceballos, where they didn't put the nice final ball in.
And that goal,
Yeah,
disallowed goal, I should say.
Disallowed goal as well, which was a very stupid rule. I mean, how can somebody not intentionally do a slide tackle? But it is what it is with UEFA, right? And with the Super League and stuff, which is, we'll be discussing it in the next chapter. So that is that.
But I do feel we also need a good backup striker. We need a backup striker.
But then we need to offload Jovic and Mariano both.
And even a right winger.
Yeah. I mean, Rodrigo seems to have gotten a hold on the position. But I would like if he got Serge Gnabry.
Just to fill that position for 1 or 2 seasons, and then we'll draft in Rodrigo. And one thing with Rodrigo is he's still better as a left winger.
Yeah, he is very good finishing right now. So, and his runs are pretty good.
I feel you raised a genuine point. I feel that his positioning actually has not been appreciated as much as it should be.
Exactly.
They're the proper number 9 positioning. He's always there at the right place at the right time.
Yeah, spot on. That's spot on. His positioning, his runs are like a proper number 9, cat in the box sort of thing, fox in the box sort of thing. Yep. Yeah. So, now moving on to transfers towards the kit the players will be wearing and who have been posing with. So, what are your thoughts on the 2022-23 kits? The home kit so far,
especially that. Whenever it is white and purple, the combination, I love it.
It is sort of the club color, right?
It takes back to your it takes you back to your roots.
Yeah, so, the Teka kit and all of those. And the font, especially this season, with the 2002, the Zidane 2002 volley comes to mind in the final. The font is pretty nostalgic as well. But to be honest, I do feel that it's like a test match sort of a kit.
That's true, but it's okay. I mean, I still feel that that Zidane thing that you mentioned, it brings back good memories.
Yeah.
And it's always good to have that purple thing.
Yeah. The three stripes, So just imagine Courtois coming at you, as a fast bowler with an in-swinging Yorker.
But just imagine if Courtois does a Casillas again. I mean, coming back from this final and then in this final doing something what Casillas did in the 2002 final.
Right. Yes. Against Leverkusen, he was, came on and made a name for himself.
Changed the game. I think up till now, I felt that was the best goalkeeping performance along with Petr Cech's.
Yeah. I mean, he was phenomenal. I think this comes at every 10 years, right? 2002, 2012, 2022. I think
that's
a strange connection.
That's really hard. I never thought like that.
Yeah. So there is that. Right. So now we come on to the third segment, which I think is the third and fourth are pretty related. So with Nasser Al Khelaifi, and the European Super League and all the drama UEFA has created for itself, right? And being so called for the fans, right? So let's start with Nasser. If our viewers don't know, Nasser Al Khelaifi, the chairman of PSG, is from the Qatari royal family. And he also is the person who is responsible for beIN Sports, which is a Qatari-owned sports broadcast company, and which also has the largest, biggest rights holder of the European leagues, the UEFA Champions League and the UEFA Europa League. So he sort of has, is biased in a way, and there is some sort of and a cross connections were always going to be there. So with him, with previously it was Juventus's chairperson. I keep forgetting his name, Andrea Agnelli, right? He used to be the European Clubs Association chairman, ECA chairman. And when Juventus, along with Madrid and Barca, they decided to form the ESL. So he resigned from his post, and Al Khelaifi became the chairperson of the ECA, with his close ties to Seferin, the president of UEFA. So now the case is that this guy has a lot of conflict of interest, right? In terms of UEFA, right? He is sort of the biggest paycheck which UEFA gets, and he's one of the richest club boards on the board of the richest clubs in Europe. And he is also the one who lost his temper and went about in the referee's dressing room, to which nothing came. And last I checked, it was Leonardo, the sporting director, who was banned for a game. And there's nothing against Al Khelaifi, I think, or there was a small fine. I don't remember exactly.
He's also about to be sacked as well, or he has been sacked, Leonardo.
He's on his way out, I think, with Pochettino. They both will be gone. He was already sacked before, so it's nothing new for Leonardo, right? Getting insulted.
Touching waters like again from PSG.
Yeah, right. So, so I think for Al Khelaifi, I think what he sets out, for many people, I think when Mbappe rejected the renewal last year, people thought that with Qatar 2022 coming to a culmination this year, I think the PSG project would die out slowly. But then Messi was signed and all of that started up. So what are your thoughts on where PSG and Qatar are headed?
I mean, you look at what Perez said in his interview, pretty subtly, but he literally confirmed the fact that there was PSG's hand in getting Paris as the final for this year's Champions League. He said once they defeated us, the war broke out, and the war had already broken out. But once they had defeated us, so they made sure that Paris is the destination for the final. So he pretty much confirmed that Khelaifi had a role to play. Then they got knocked out. Then they started, misbehaving with the Madrid staff and all that thing, all the crap that happened. I mean, Khelaifi showed what he's about. The man lacks class. It's as simple as that.
True.
I mean, you'll never see Perez doing this. You'll never see United owners or even Abramovich, for that matter, doing this. Even Barcelona owners, they won't do that.
Laporta seems like a cool guy.
During the Copa del Rey final in 80s, that's a different thing. You won't see presidents doing this kind of stuff.
Right.
And the recent interviews that Khelaifi has been giving, I mean, it's a typical case of grapes are sour. It's like you have a beautiful stadium in the center of the city, and you call us state-sponsored club. State is helping you. I mean, they pay their bloody taxes. They do everything that is right in the city.
Right.
You can't compare yourself.
And Madrid is an institution. It is like the Santiago Bernabeu Stadium has been in place since the 40s, since the time of World War II, and it's not something. The club, there are players playing right now who are older than PSG, so it's not a comparison anyway. So.
And more successful as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. Right.
I mean, even Kamavinga is more successful than him.
True.
He has the Champions League.
And it's very beautiful to hear that Chouameni and Kamavinga and all of those, they rejected PSG's approach.
They outrightly rejected PSG. I think that has really rubbed into his wounds. And he has been celebrating Mbappe's success. I mean, they managed to retain him, that's a success for them. I mean, let's be honest about it. We wanted Mbappe, we could not get for
but
whatever reason it was.
I think they are keeping Mbappe thinking, that he's the icon of the French national team. And boom comes Benzema with a Ballon d'Or and becomes
And
the icon of the
Mbappe
French
has
team.
not been up to the mark. I'm not saying that. Obviously, Mbappe has still a long time to go, and he is probably the next big thing in football
Yeah,
as of
but he was the
now.
only threat against us, right? In the both legs, he was the only
Yeah,
threat. Yep.
he was easily the best player on the field.
Yeah.
Like if you compare the whole 180 minutes, Mbappe was. I think the only part where Mbappe was not effective was the second half. That too in the
Yeah.
last 30-40 minutes.
But then
minutes.
they faltered, and it was a collective team meltdown that way anyway. So yeah.
They don't have the mentality.
They don't.
They don't have the midfield. They don't
Yeah.
have leaders in defense. They probably signed Ramos
They
for
do
that,
have
but
hands on hips, Messi, right? And this
they do have.
expression of his iconic. Right.
I mean, even Messi does not look. I've watched a few games of PSG. He doesn't look that involved as he was in Barcelona.
I think it's the culture, right? The players are there for a good time. They are not there seriously to win. It's a like of they
Definitely has
party
to be the
and
culture.
it has to be the culture.
Definitely has to be the culture. I mean, you
That's
look
why I
at
was
Barcelona.
surprised when Zidane was linked so heavily. Like Zidane is one of the most disciplined guys in football, right? And he would not tolerate this thing at all.
And if you looked at Zidane's interview, Zidane specifically mentioned, "I only go to places where I know I'll win,
Yeah.
where I know I can win."
Yeah.
It means even Zidane doubts their winning mentality.
Yeah. Agree.
And that is not something that you would like to go in with if you are going in a Champions League thinking that you'll win it.
Plus, he is Marseille, born and bred. So
That was
yeah.
that too was there only. That was always there.
But I feel like if Zidane, took it, I mean, obviously we as Madridistas owe him everything, so we cannot complain if he, chooses to go in any case.
No, never. That was
Yeah.
actually rubbish. You know what was
Yeah.
happening on social media.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys have not done anything for the club.
Yeah.
Let's be honest about it.
Yeah.
And just being a social media Twitter warrior does not mean that you can go ahead. You can express your feelings. I mean, there is always there. You can't go about abusing. Even if you have, you can just say that I don't agree with Zidane's move. That's it. Says a lot.
Anyways, it's not going to change what Zidane did for us, man. He just got us 3 back-to-back. Yeah, he created history in the modern era.
That is something that no other manager, no other team has done up till now.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, in the modern era. उसमें तो पुराने वाले में
पुराने में भी like except Madrid, nobody did more than 3. So he even equaled that Ajax and legendary Bayern teams, but yeah.
True.
So he even equaled them. So yeah. So on the same thing, on the segueing to the last part of our
I was on that Khelaifi thing. So Khelaifi has been a typical case of Sagres, man. I feel. And as far as the even if you look at the UEFA president's interview, it has been all about defending Madrid, defending the PSG, and saying Madrid were lucky. Fine. If luck brings us another Champions League, I'll take it. I'll take it happily. You keep on blabbering about luck, I'll keep the Champions League as a fan. You can say whatever you want. And if a UEFA president is actually talking about luck, that Madrid were lucky that they won the cup, you're doubting your own tournament, the tournament that you represent. And how foolish and how greedy of him, to be very honest. If you are defending somebody who hasn't done anything for this competition.
Yep.
And as far as what are your views? Then we'll go on to I think European Super League.
Yeah. So I feel I think it's connected. So we're gonna segue into the Super League as well, because I think the two issues are very much connected right now. So what I feel is that I think UEFA they have let it get away from themselves, to be honest, right? Like when you think back to the 90s, early 2000s, like we had so many clubs competing in the final stage of the Champions League. Like then, they came into the pressure, under pressure from the big clubs, right? And then they started to divide, give more share of the money to the bigger club, so to speak. Now, what does this do is this creates a positive feedback loop, right? So, the bigger clubs, they do well, they earn more money, right, from the TV media, and then they buy the best players, and then again, so this created a closed league, sort of a closed league on its own, right? Nobody has broken through in the, like, Porto was the last team to win, like, which we could say were the outsiders,
It
so
was
to speak.
Porto versus Monaco. Both were
Yeah,
outsiders.
yeah. So that's why I think the early 2000s was one of the best eras of the Champions League. Still we managed to win 3 in those years, right? In 6 years, right? But it was
If you
the
remember,
most.
Valencia
Yeah,
reached back-to-back.
Valencia, yeah, in 2
They
finals
reached,
they were there. Yeah,
they reached back-to-back finals. Once they were
yeah,
defeated by Bayern and then by us.
yeah.
So
2001 against Bayern, 2000 against us. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Hector Cooper was the manager there. Yeah, and then Rafa Benitez took over. I think one of those.
Rafa
Yeah,
took
yeah,
over, and
yeah, yeah.
in one,
Yeah.
I guess it was Rafa.
And no, I
One
think
final.
later was Rafa and the first was Cooper, but one of those two, yeah, right.
I think we
Yeah,
have to brush
yeah,
it up again.
yeah. So yeah, so the point was that, already it was going to be a closed league anyways. And then you, on top of it, you come and then so the European Super League, basically what they wanted is that to divide more of the money amongst themselves. Right? And to some extent, the recent final and all that ruckus it created with the fans being, pepper sprayed and everything. We are sure that UEFA is not for the fans, right? They are in it for themselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, there
So
could be no doubt about it.
yeah. So the question now comes that, what they wanted is the more share of the money to be divided amongst themselves, the bigger clubs in European Super League, and then they were also going to invest in the feeder club, so to speak, like the lower division and everything. So a closed non-meritocratic system was, it was wrong to begin with. That I agree. Football is all about merit. We want, new Leicester cities to come through, right?
Absolutely.
So that is wrong. But I think the concept is right that UEFA has too much power and there should not be a monopoly, which UEFA has, right? So I think what the solution will come is that they are going to come to a solution where all the parties are benefited. UEFA gets to govern, but it does not get to host or the organize, right? They should be just the governing bodies and not the organizing bodies. That I feel is what it will come down to.
That's actually a great way out. That
Yeah.
is actually a great way out.
Yeah. Because otherwise you can, because it's like, again, the same thing. There's a conflict of interest there. You cannot be impartial or unbiased against what you are doing yourself.
I mean, you can just imagine for a moment that the bankruptcy of their thought process. I mean, what UEFA president did during COVID crisis was not that he should plan on decreasing the games or something like that. He increased his own salary.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so it's absolutely about how to mint the money. It's totally about it.
Exactly.
And nothing else. And as far as you're right about the fact that we need a more inclusive league. European Super League was just about the richer ones. I get it that 5 or 6 teams they had reserved that they would be coming, but we need something more than that. We need a bit more competition. We do need relegation. I mean, if they are not relegated, that that uncertainty won't come. And till the time that uncertainty, like if you why sometimes La Liga gets boring, as people say, or Bundesliga gets boring for that matter, Bundesliga in particular, because there is no fight. Bayern is too good a team. If there is no uncertainty and if there is not that inclusiveness, fans won't be able to connect it. Football is still a game where, regardless of the social status, people come together.
Right.
So you got to maintain that. I think that has to be the basic principle. And yes, equal division of money. I mean, it's rubbish, absolutely rubbish that Premier League teams coming, Lord knows what position, are getting more than Champions League teams.
Yeah,
I don't. I mean, I don't get this idea.
I mean,
There
yeah,
has to be
and
distribution of TV rights and
especially,
everything.
and to be honest, UEFA already with the new rules coming from next season, not this season, the 24 season, they are anyways going to, include legacy teams who do not qualify. And they are going to take a Swiss style knockout format. And we're going to discuss this in the next podcast as well, what the new rules are and what does that mean. But it also, removes the argument of inclusivity because you yourself are non-meritocratic now, right? So it is. So you are just you're becoming a European Super League in yourself.
And one more thing I feel Perez wants to copy Santiago Bernabeu.
Yeah. He wants to. Yeah.
Because how Bernabeu started with the European Cup, how he came out with that idea.
Yeah.
Perez wants to have his own legacy.
Yeah.
I mean, Perez wants to be the best. That's why he's suitable for Madrid. I mean, he takes certain decisions that you say are like, why are Madrid disrespecting their legends? And it is true. We do disrespect. That is something that we have to do. That always, most of the time, it has paid off.
Like we don't want to become the next Barcelona paying like 500 million contracts to our players just because they are something in history, right? So I think this is a better way, though it could be done more subtly, I think, right? We just don't want chainsaw every time.
There's always a better
Sometimes
way,
Alpel is better, right, so to speak. But yeah, but overall, I think Perez, always is going to go down as after Bernabeu is the best thing to happen to Madrid.
And Bernabeu will go down as the best because he started it.
Yeah. After him, yeah.
After
and
that,
the new stadium, which is going to start. Yeah. I think they are saying December the stadium will be ready. So I mean, that's amazing.
There were reports that December it will be ready, but later on they said in the later half of the season. I mean, what does later half mean? Even if it is the last.
Let's say next season it's ready. Like
next
at
season
the max.
Will be ready for sure.
So I mean, that's amazing. You navigated COVID and everything, and you just come out with a new stadium with new revenue streams, with new sponsorship deals, and the club is in a healthier situation than when it was few years back. Right? It is a low interest, long-term loan deal, and it's amazing. Like our debts are still better after the stadium construction than Barcelona is before the stadium construction. So
thanks to our wage bill. I mean,
and we don't even have to host weddings or football matches at 300 euros for a right. So it just feels like a social community hall, so to speak, in India, what we have. So I think our podcast recording time is ending as well. So I think we should keep it at that. Like we have 1 minute or something left now. I think it was a great start. I hope people enjoy, like and subscribe, and
please
do leave comments.
Do hit the like and subscribe button, and do give us suggestions. Healthy criticism is always, we'll enjoy.
And even comments and we'll link our Twitter page as well.
Yeah, we have a Twitter page.
Yeah.
At
and please do send us your questions. We'll do our best to answer them. And
even if you are abusing us, we'll happily take it, but do subscribe and like, please.
Yeah. All right. And this just been us for the first time recording. It's first time for us. But for as a fans, we are as passionate as anyone else.
And we'll keep on calling certain guests. I hope they are free, and all will be fans. We won't make it an expert thing. It'll just be fans discussing.
Just fans, right? All right, guys. See you. Hala Madrid.
Hala Madrid.